Good evening. My name is Francisco Lugo, and the reason for this update is that I'm monitoring my blood sugar, my glucose, and I have found out that normal glucose level in our blood is anywhere between 60 to 99 milligrams per deciliter. At first, I was thinking that it was anywhere between 90 to 100, but I was wrong. So I'm following up and trying to make myself uh, make sure that I give my body enough time to use all the glucose on whatever I eat. So that way I can come back to normal and I don't have to be dependent on any medications for diabetes or anything of that sort. So yesterday on the 22nd, I ate, uh, let me see right here. Yeah, I ate about 4:50, 4:55 p.m. My glucose was at 106, and so I went ahead and I ate about that time, and then by uh, by 6 p.m. My glucose have gone from 106 to 128, and consequently, because I want to make sure that I bring myself down to anywhere between 80 milligrams per deciliter or lower, because I don't want to be on the upper portion of the glucose uh, normal site. So I'm monitoring myself, and then what I found is uh, my glucose went to 128, and then by 10 o'clock uh, yesterday, last night, the glucose came from 128 to 103, and I was expecting this morning to be even lower than that. At the same time, what happened was that actually my glucose went up from 103 to 132, and that was at 9:57 a.m. this yesterday morning. And so I continued to monitor my glucose, thinking that it was going to continue to go down. And then what I see is that by noontime, I only went down 2 milligrams, which is 100 from 128. Uh, I came up from 132. I came down to 130. And then after that, I monitored myself again at 4:15. It came down to 105. And then by 7:40, 7:49, it actually went back up from 105 to 109. And I went ahead and double checked my glucose one more time right here, right after midnight on January 23rd, 2023. And finally, my glucose came to 99 milligrams per deciliter. So what we're doing is we're being told that we need to eat 3 times a day. Regardless, they don't tell us that this is something that needs to be, taken care of. So we're eating without thinking about the fact that we're not allowing our bodies to digest the glucose that is flowing over our blood. And consequently, instead of going down, we're on this vicious cycle when we find ourselves above the 100 milligrams per deciliter, and then all of a sudden we have to force ourselves to be injected and taking medication that really we don't need. And the fact of that is that we want to force everybody to eat 3 times a day when in fact you don't need it. You just have to allow our body to digest all the glucose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to monitor myself until I finally get it to 80. So it might take me about maybe until about noontime today on the 23rd, which is on Monday in January the 23rd, 2023. And if that is the case, then hopefully I can get it to below 90 to 80, which is my new goal to eat and continue to do that. So that way I will not be in the upper portion of the normal on the glucose on the blood, because according to what the CDC websites indicate, is that if you were to carry the high levels, the upper normal on the glucose, you actually are exposed to the symptoms of diabetes and also the consequences. So based on that, instead of staying within 90 milligrams of per deciliter, I'm going to adjust myself to wait until I get to the 80 milligrams per deciliter, and then continue to go ahead and force myself to stay within that range. And at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, I will begin to monitor the foods that I like to eat. I'm going to make a list of all those foods, see how my body responds in terms of how much sugar is generated by each and every one of them, and then track it down until I bring them all to the 80 milligrams per deciliter, and just continue to do this until I have a graph of the foods that I enjoy to eat. And that way I will be able to know how long it takes me to stay within the 80 milligrams per deciliter rather than 90, and prevent myself from being exposed to these symptoms of diabetes and all the consequences of it. So at least this is the update for today. And this is my goal for this year, to be able to monitor myself and bring myself to normal, and without having to use any medications. Thank you for allowing me to be using this as as a motivator to be able to get myself back on track. Good night.